Thank you for joining us today on our spiritual journey. We've got Yael, our donkey, over here. She's going to join us, maybe. Maybe she sticks around. We'll see. And so today, when we consider our spiritual journey, we've already considered the comfortable, those who aren't moving in any direction. They're not on the journey at all. And today, what we're going to consider is the hurt. And this stage happens before conversion. This stage really happens before an encounter with the Lord. And I think all of us at one point in time are at this stage. You have to be at this stage. There's so many things in life that happen that hurt us. It's kind of like getting kicked by a donkey. Doesn't feel good. You know, I think so many times the things that we suffer through, whether that's the death of a loved one, a parent, seeing a friend slowly die and suffer and die from cancer, they call into mind the goodness of God. And so it's very easy to ask the question, God, how can you allow this to happen? And we can become very, very, very angry at God, and that's a really easy place to be. And so a person can be hurt in their relationship with God and then start to move away from God. I think a big event within the United States, even within the world, was this whole experience of the clergy sexual abuse scandal. How people were so hurt and just devastated by all the sexual abuse that was perpetrated and allowed to perpetrate by the bishops and the priests. And it really broke a lot of trust. And a lot of people said, well, how can God be working through this church? Certainly this is not the church of God. God wouldn't allow this to happen. And so a lot of people moved away from God. And the thing for us to consider is that the hurt and the pain, they're going to happen in life. It's going to come at us. We're going to have crosses that we have to carry. And so I think for us to consider, and maybe for us as maybe we're helping other people to go through the stage of the hurt, is to consider the hurt that our Lord Jesus Christ went through on the cross. That, yes, bad things do happen to good people. That we read from the book of Job. All the things, terrible things that happened to Job. Lost his children, his wife, his flocks, his everything. And yet he remained faithful to the Lord. This stage happens before a relationship with God, and so it's more difficult to establish a relationship with God when it hasn't been established at all yet. And so it's something for us to consider and to be compassionate to those who are away from God because of a response out of hurt or pain. And a lot of times, helping someone move towards God requires healing that pain, coming to grips with that pain, having closure with that pain. For me personally, what I've considered is how do we move through that pain? And I think a prayer that's really helpful is to consider the prayer of Jesus on the cross as he was in ultimate agony and ultimate pain. To consider his words, Father, forgive them, they know not what they do. And it's freeing. And there are two decisions that we can make with our pain. We can either allow it to guide our life's decisions, and everything in our life is a reaction to that pain, or we can instead, yes, go through that pain, but to consider the prayer of Jesus, Father, forgive them, they know not what they do. Because people, places, events, situations, the church, they hurt us, and it's difficult. And so some next steps for us to consider are the following questions. Do I want to allow the pain to continue to guide my life? Do I want my response in life to just be a response to pain in my life? Do I want to be angry and bitter? Is that the type of person that I want to be? Or do I want to be a person that is free from the pain, is healed, and is made whole? And so it's something for us to consider today, and how our reaction to the pain is. And so I hope this is helpful for you to consider, maybe a husband or a spouse or children, grandchildren, whoever it is. Well, why don't you go to church? Well, why don't you pray more? Why don't you pray the rosary? And a lot of times it has nothing to do with those things. It has to do with, God let me down. I feel really hurt. And there's an unresolved pain. So it's something for us to consider today as we reach out walk with other people, why is it that they're distant from God? Look under it. It's not just, they don't believe in the creed or they don't believe in the faith. There's something underlying that. And so consider today the stage of the hurt and moving away from God. And consider that as the motivation of why so many people are very distant from God. We'll continue next week with a stage that develops from this, a person that doesn't heal from the hurt. Instead, they go into deeper pain. And they say, I hate you, God. And they want nothing to do with God. And that's an even deeper level of isolation away from our relationship with God. So join us next Friday as we continue our spiritual journey. Y'all have a great weekend. Thank you for joining me. Yael, thank you for being here. God bless y'all.